Here's your host, Julie James.
Yes, we are here. Welcome. I don't want to talk over that incredible music. Oh my goodness. I am delighted to be here at Sirius XM with the creators of Some Like It Hot and these amazing stars. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
So happy to have you here. We are going to do what I call in Radioland voices with names so that all the people who are just listening without a visual will know who they're hearing from. So let's hear from all of you. Who do we have here today?
I'm Scott Whitman, co-lyricist.
I'm Mark Shaman, composer and co-lyricist.
I'm Kevin Delagula. I play Osgood Fielding III.
I'm Natasha Yvette Williams, and I play Sweet Sue McGinty.
Hi, I'm Jay Harrison G. I play Jerry Daphne.
Hello, everyone. My name is Adriana Hicks, and I play Sugar.
This is Christian Borle coming at you. I play Joe, Josephine, and Kip. It's so nice to be here.
Wonderful to have so many of you back and so many of you visiting for the first time. Thrilled, absolutely thrilled. This show is fire. And I just can't believe I get so delighted every time I see someone posting about it or someone talking about it. It is pure Broadway joy gold. I truly don't know how you all do it, but let's start with the foundation of the show itself. It's something so fresh, yet something that has this throwback feeling. Some of my friends and I were debating whether the term old-fashioned was like a compliment. I think in this case it is, because it has this big, brassy Broadway feeling, but yet it feels very fresh at the same time. So we have the creators here to hear from themselves, and we're going to be celebrating with tons of music from your brand new cast recording, which is just astounding. This idea, I'm imagining, was kicking around for a while to adapt, and of course there was the musical Sugar way back when. What brought you to wanting Some Like It Hot to be your next Broadway tuner?
Well, we were making Mary Poppins Returns in England, and Craig Zaden and Neil Merrin called us, and it had taken them quite some time to secure the rights to it, because of the previous musical that Jules Stein wrote, and so we hemmed and hawed, and then they said to us, we would like to make the character of Sugar a black woman, and thought, well, that made it all more interesting to us as something to write to. So that was the impetus in the beginning.
Yeah.
And irony, because we had just worked with Craig and Neil on Smash, where we were week by week creating a musical about Marilyn Monroe, including a multiverse scene from Some Like It Hot, where we wrote the song Let's Be Bad for Megan Hilty to have that fabulous nervous breakdown. and yet... So then they said, well, wouldn't you love to then continue and actually write a musical, Something Like It Hot, but not make it be Marilyn, do something completely different and new. And like Scott said, that is what made us actually go from, I don't think so, to, oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it couldn't be more perfect for your sound, your wheelhouse, Mark. It's so... it's just everything I think like Broadway lovers of a certain, that are attracted to a certain kind of Broadway show just crave.
Yeah, I mean, that's been so wonderful when people see the show and say, a lot of people say they start to cry because they're just so excited and moved by being in a Broadway theater and getting this kind of Broadway musical, which, they don't make them this way much anymore. And, we're very proud of that, and yet it's so contemporary about what the show is about. Is so ripped from today's headlines.
Yeah.
So it is amazing how that worked out.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how that was gonna go, and I was so delighted by it.
I mean, that
really
was our big. That was the
challenge.
That's
of
a big
adapting
job.
the piece, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's just call it what it is. That's a really big job to be able to pull that off with the right tone. Right. And I'm so excited to dig into it with our fabulous stars as well. Do you feel like rock stars up there? Because that's kind of what it seems like. I mean, when you're hearing that applause and the crowd going absolutely wild, what does that feel like for you?
I will say I have a front row seat for the end of You Could Have Knocked Me Over with a Feather, which is Jay's big number in the second act. And the whole theater really does shake with the sound that the audience makes in response. It's pretty thrilling. And I get to just sit there as closer than anybody.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Well, as I said, we're going to really highlight this incredible cast recording that you made. It's truly exquisite. And that's also not an easy job because you're taking something that you're used to doing in such a physical form, I imagine, and and really breaking it down song by song without all the context of which sounds like it would be easier, but I kind of think it's not. Like, oh, I don't have to worry about these costumes and this choreography at the same time and everything that I'm managing and my acting and my role, but it's hard to break it down, right? Or challenging.
It is a challenge, but that is a testament to the trust and the commitment we have to the work we built together. And going into the studio, it was just fun to continue the connection that we had already created and really lock it in and make this album that we can share with the world. And it's really going to be so special.
Yeah. Well, we're going to skip around a bit, but I couldn't resist starting with what is essentially the opening number. Oh, Natasha, you are... for a woman who blabs for a living, I keep stumbling over having enough descriptions. There are words that just escape me to summarize all of your performances because they're just unbelievable. But what does it feel like for you to start off the whole show with this kind of number? We're about to hear it. Set it up for us. What do you want to share with us about this particular number and starting the whole darn show?
Wow. We circle up every night. Most of the cast members circle up. And the other day, somebody said they were going on for the first time, I think, in a principal role, and they said, "This is my dream, my childhood dream." And the thought comes to me that it is a childhood dream every day to start this show with this kind of number. The song is "What Are You Thirsty For?" And it is asking the audience, but it's also asking each character, what is it that you're trying to achieve and realize during this particular process? And we journey to get to that end. We ask the question in the very beginning. It invites the audience in with this incredible energy and expectation. And hopefully most of us get to another destination by the time the show ends, but the audience takes that journey with us. So it's an incredible honor to do it, and it is a dream come true every night that I stand on the stage and get to sing it. Yeah.
I also would like the listeners to have a drink every time someone says journey.
We would like to see their thirst quenched.
That's two. You got two. I said it twice.
All right, we'll give you a second to pour. And hit it!
Yeah.
Yes! You better. Absolutely. Oh, my goodness.
Can I ask a question about that particular track? I remember hearing it for the first time and being so bowled over. How many pieces are in the orchestra?
18, right?
Yeah.
It sounds
like so much more.
100 and...
Well,
118.
thank you for saying that, and it's a good spot then to congratulate Lawrence Manchester is the engineer on the album, and he makes it sound that way, you know? I mean, everyone's brilliant musicians, and the orchestrations are great, and everyone's great singers, but what Lawrence does, the sound that he achieves, especially on this album, I mean, when I listen to it, I'm just so thrilled.
Wait till you hear my tapping.
But it does sound fuller than most cast albums I've heard in
does.
recent memory. It's really
It really
reflects
is.
the party that's happening on stage.
That's Lawrence.
Truly.
And Scott Risette, my co-producer. I mean, we all work real hard, but Lawrence has got magic fingers, magic ears.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Well,
Lawrence.
I remember the, before I could have ever, speaking of dreams, before I could have ever dreamed that I would meet and get to know you, was that When Harry Met Sally album. And that's always going to be in my ear. And every time I hear work of yours that always comes to mind. It's like a muscle memory that gets flexed or something. But you had sort of some next gen orchestrators helping you out on this one, right? Want to shout those?
Back in my
guys
When
out?
Harry Met Sally days, I was young and eager, and I wanted to do everything, and luckily was blessed with the ability to do it. So arranging, orchestrating, writing songs, whatever, I wanted to do it all. But many years have passed. And I finally learned how to let go a little. And I went to see Charlie Rosen's big band at 54 Below. I've been hearing about it, how he was big bandizing Broadway songs or pop songs. And the one I actually saw was Daniel Breaker. When I saw Charlie Rosen's version of Sia's song Chandelier, he did an arrangement of that song that turned this great pop song about someone who's just going to drink her night away. And he turned it into a Frank Sinatra 3-act play that Daniel Breaker brilliantly performed. And when I saw that video, I mean, the talent was just, sometimes my ego is, I just feel cool that I can recognize someone's talent like that. Like, I understand everything that he's doing that is making him just this genius. So I definitely got in touch with him. And then we started writing the show, and I was like, hey, would you like to help me with the demos instead of just me at home doing everything? How about I just send you piano, bass, and voice?
And Charlie plays every instrument. So
Yeah. So he sent back these incredible demos that have more instruments on them than are actually now on Broadway, and he played them all. So he's a genius. That word is so thrown around and so sweet. And then he brought in Brian Carter to work with him, and it's just been a dream team.
Well, I've been wanting to talk to them, so I just wanted to get a shout out in there because their footprint is all over this album and this show. So,
and just to remind the audience at home, what chandelier sounds like, Kevin.
It's a shame that you're just such a serious actor, Christian. I really wish that you would try comedy one day. But let us talk about our next song that I wanted to highlight. It's one that has been playing for a moment here on Sirius XM on Broadway, very proudly and loudly. But it's your first duet where Jay, you and Christian come together. How's this moment in the show? The chemistry between you. I mean, what's happening in the show would not be possible if we had something less than the chemistry than you two seem to have worked out. So tell us a little bit about what you've created together.
It's a special chemistry and connection, as you say. Every night we look at each other and we say, one foot in front of the other, here we go. And we, again, built that trust to play and to be free. And that is truly the launching pad for the rest of the show. It's that big tap number where we're like, all right, let's get the show going. And once we start that journey, there's no turning back. And it really is laying the foundation of you can't have me if you don't have him. It's this bond, this sibling relationship that is so special, so grounded, so trusting. And we're showing the audience where we came from, and there's so much to go ahead, and it's really fun.
It really was. We were very lucky because it's pretty unspoken. It's not like we sat down with our notebooks open and talked about our history. It was just an instant chemistry that we had. And I think for my character is a little bit of a cad, and I think one of the reasons that I can get away with being a little bit of a ne'er-do-well is because of the relationship that I have with Jay's character and Jay as a person. I think the way that we look at each other, we can get away with almost anything. Almost.
All right, well, here's another fabulous number from the brand new cast recording of Some Like It Hot. Here we are once more with applause.
Wow.
You know it.
Good stuff.
I'm out of breath.
Okay, well, that's another thing we should talk about because my lord, the energy. So Casey Nicolau, who's not with us today, you gotta.
He's on a journey.
Dear. He's on a journey. Oh, oh, now we just said it like 3 times. He is incredible. He has, what is it? Is it 3 shows simultaneously running right now? It's Aladdin, it's Book of Mormon.
Just in New York.
Just in New York, right. Never mind the prom and tours and, everything else. He has you running like crazy. I mean, there's like shows and there's shows that are going to be of that high level. How many mental breakdowns? How many? How many calories burned? Does someone have a Fitbit sewn into their costume to keep track?
Because
how
God
many
knows,
miles,
yeah.
right.
Talk about blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
Ah.
I have asthma now. I didn't have it before we started.
No, honestly, about the Fitbit thing, I wanted to have one in my costume, but I can't, unfortunately, in those beautiful gowns that I am wearing. But, I feel it.
I don't know. I feel like there's a bra moment over
But that's
here.
the thing. All of my costumes, they're
built-ins?
built in. Yeah, it's a tragic story, but a beautiful gown.
I'm glad this is coming up actually organically because that's another star of this show is the costuming.
Greg Barnes.
Greg Barnes.
Greg Barnes.
The living legend, truly.
I bought at Broadway Flea one year a bunch of his beautiful sketches from Follies, the Follies revival with Bernadette Peters and company. And I treasure them. And every show is like more exquisite than the one before. I'm such a Project Runway nerd. I just like want to know how you do that. Like, how do you do that?
He does it with such care.
Yeah.
And with everyone in the building, whether you're a swing, a cover, a lead, an ensemble member, he takes an individual and dresses that human.
Yeah.
I would see him during the tech rehearsal. He'd be in the lower lobby at the middle of the night sewing beads
I can imagine.
in the dark.
So he hasn't learned to farm out his.
Well, all the shops
extra
were still,
jobs.
closed
Oh,
from the a lot of them hadn't
really?
reopened. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And it must be, Jay, for you. I love that you're saying that he has such care in it because with the role that you're playing, I mean, I'm sure he took care with each of you, but I'm sure there was probably like he wanted to work closely with you, I would imagine, in making sure that you were seen to and comfortable and feeling beautiful.
Yeah, all of the things. We definitely had many conversations during the pandemic even of not knowing where the show would be going and how we would continue, but having the time to talk and to connect and to make sure that we were on the same page. His inspiration matched the work I was doing, and he wanted to make sure that he was supporting the journey we were going to have in the show. So, and that's the thing. If Greg Barnes is designing a show, count me in.
Yes.
Go on that journey.
Yes, get there.
And it's so funny, even in one of my fittings for the red dress I wear in Act 2, he earnestly asked me, had I ever had a red dress in my life? And his assistant said, Kinky Boots, you designed 2 of them for it? and he's like, oh, yeah, I did do that.
One of the examples of what makes Greg so great was that Jay had a fabulous red dress that we started previews, right?
Yeah.
But Greg was like, no. He just knew that it should be even something more so. And we were actually concerned. We were like, well, that dress is fantastic. But then when the new one came in,
yeah, it was perfect.
You
And
understood.
yeah.
I love it.
So I have it now.
Oh, good. That was going to be my next
'Cause we're
question.
about the same height.
Another thing about that makes Greg Barnes a legend. Just the other day, actually this week, a new costume piece was added for one of our ensemble members who plays the director in the movie within the show. She has a new beret, and it's so cute and perfect for to Yes, Tania, Brandon, her character. But she was talking with Greg one day just in passing, and they talked about something she thought would help her character, and he was like, "Let me think about it," and he thought about it, and they came back with this fabulous new beret for her character. It's just
Perfect. That's
wonderful.
so adorable. That's so adorable. And Natasha, you look like the queen that you are. I mean, you must
feel
be
like it.
living
I
your
feel
best
like it.
life
I
in
feel
those
so
gowns.
beautiful in every costume, and I'm just so grateful.
Oh.
He is a legend. I said it the first day of our meet and greet. Greg Barnes is a legend. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you look like a goddess on high. And somebody that knows a little something about queens is also enjoying another huge yet different costume moment. Adriana.
That was a Six reference.
Thank you. Thank you.
We got it.
Glad we got that covered. Because we talked actually at length the last time you were here. You were just about to exit the show. Because she's featured on our weekly Royal Hour. The Royal Hour with all the queens and creators of Six. And we're about to have the Ladies in Waiting, your band,
so excited for
join the party. But we talked at length about and how that costume made you feel as Catherine. And but here you are in something so different, but also so jaw-dropping.
Spectacular. Yeah, it's been wonderful to shift from, different time periods of shows, going from like, this is our time with Six, and I'm gonna come out looking like a Wakandan Beyonce Bumblebee, you know what I'm saying? And then going to these classic Hollywood glam looks, which I've always had an admiration for. And there is a beauty in the simplicity of it as well, too, that I am so living in every single night while it being grandiose and like, look at me, every time I come on the stage, and every costume, Greg just like levels up with every single look that I have on the stage. And it is an honor to be able to stand and sing. I'm not running around the stage anymore, huffing and puffing, having to come out and be like, look at me, bop, bop, hit, lay out, split. I'm not having to do that now, which is wonderful. It had a glory of its own with that. But this journey with I said this quest this quest with Some Like It Hot and Sugar, and embarking on this journey has changed my life in so many different ways. How many is that? 10? 12? We're good. We're doing good.
Ding,
Right,
ding.
right.
I mean, what are you
brought the
thirsty
bell,
for?
okay?
I'm drunk now. Hello.
Well, we have also been enjoying on the channel the pre-release version of the first big ballad number that you sing in the show. But I thought it would be more fun for this show to highlight, way back in Ohio when I was growing up, this is what we call a barn burner. I don't know who made up I don't know where that came from, but we called it a barn burner because you're going to burn it down.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
And you get a couple of those moments in the show. What does that feel like? And talk with us about Ride Out the Storm, which is what we're about to hear.
Oh, my goodness. There's so many things to say. Ride Out the Storm is definitely a paradigm shift for me in my life, in my career, and how that song just embodies the amazing journey that I've been able and blessed to go on in musical theater. Performing it every single night, I just feel like there's a lot of validation of like, I'm enough, and all I need to do is stand here and sing and do the thing that I used to dream about when I was a kid. And to have an amazing writing team behind it, because initially we had a different song, going through the process, and it wasn't as, it was definitely different. It was something that I felt more comfortable in, which I appreciate Mark and Scott taking a new step, a different direction with the final song for Sugar, because it challenged me, and it also brings out the gold within me every single night that I didn't know I had. So I'm thankful to y'all. Thank you for doing that. I don't know if it was that deep for you guys, but it definitely was for me. And singing that every single night, I mean, going through the character's journey, it's a Sugar has a very simplistic story. It's a very classic old Hollywood story where it's like, a woman pursuing her dreams. But, you raise the stakes. I'm a Black woman in the 1930s, and she's gone through the same things that every other human being has gone through. And I get to show that. I get to show all ranges of the spectrum of what it means to be human and a woman and a Black woman, like trying to get out and to live her life while going through the woes of men. And then you come to this point in the show where, her heart is broken. She's very vulnerable, and she's showing a side of herself of like the show must go on, because you see her heart, you see her courage, you see her ambition and willingness to put on a good face and continue to live and do what she loves to do. I love how that song merges together with the plot of the show in the simplistic yet thrilling way, and it's an honor to sing it every night.
Wow, that was good.
That was good.
Someone should have recorded that. Well, without any further ado, this is a truly jaw-dropping moment from Some Like It Hot.
I say the barn has been burned.
The barn has been burned.
Burn the
Thank
barn
you.
down.
It's burned. It's burned. I love what you said. That's another thing, going back to one of the original points from the beginning of our time together, of how it's a throwback, but it's so fresh. And your acknowledgement of who you are in the show and being not only a woman, but a woman of color. What's the great line, Natasha, that you have where we acknowledge it? I love it. It kills. It kills.
It's
The opening one?
Look
Oh,
at
yes.
this.
Yes. There's a opening, Angie, who plays Minnie in the show.
Diva,
asked-
Angie Schwartz.
Yes, she's fabulous, fabulous. She comes out, she asked me a question about if we're going to travel down south. And I say, Minnie, it's 1933. Look at me. And ask that again. So we do have a reference to, no, we're not going down south. We can go anywhere but south. So that's the line.
I love it because, again, these nods to like who we are, where we are, and when we are just help just keep it so alive. We're now going to go for something completely different and talk to Kevin.
Kev.
I
New
love
journey.
Kevin's journey.
He is something completely different.
Definitely.
In a different direction.
Your song, Poor Little Millionaire. It was really hard for me to decide. I really wanted to play the Mariposa song because it's such a different soundscape from the rest of the show. But in terms of introducing people for the first time to what this is offering, I just couldn't resist. It's so clever. The lyric writing, the music, how everyone is coming together, how you're revealing to us who you are, your first impression of Daphne. It's all there. But that's just my take. What do you have to say?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. This song is everything, and it's a testament to them because I come on about an hour into the show. Like, these people have done a full act.
They've done their own. Six is like getting out.
Yeah,
And you're just like,
exactly. And I've been wordling and like,
Are you even in the building with it?
Yeah, exactly. I've had a nap, a shower. So by the time I come on, I need to make a big impression right away. And it's very tricky. I'm like, a millionaire in the Depression, and so I need to be likable. I see Daphne, and I fall instantly in love, and I need everyone to get on that journey with me. And it's a really tricky thing to do. And this song is everything. Has to set my whole character up for the journey I'm about to go on, and it does, and I'm very, very lucky to have this song to help.
And there was another song
many
for most
songs.
of the
Many
readings
songs.
and workshops. There was a different song, and Scott and I both knew this just isn't landing. It just, and Kevin was doing all he could to make it land, and we would rewrite the lyrics and we would change, but we just kept knowing there. I think there was.
I kept saying, just make it faster.
Yeah. I seem to remember a few days where I would actually kind of avoid walking past Kevin because I felt bad that like we weren't delivering for him. what he needed.
If it's faster, they won't notice.
And it was even, that's right, we even did the whole other workshop still with the old song.
Oh, yeah.
And we wrote this song downstairs in one of the final days where we did this 6-week workshop. Instead of going out of town, we did a big workshop where we learned the show in 4 weeks. And then the last 2 weeks, we performed the show like every other day in front of an audience that had won like a kind of lottery from real ticket buyers, real people.
Civilians, yeah.
Yeah, civilians.
Yeah.
And
Who
we would
weren't
do
on
the
a
show,
journey.
and then we would have like a day to think about like, well, what needs to happen now? And Scott and I started writing the song like
In the basement.
yeah, the next to last day. So we couldn't get into that workshop.
Whoa.
Yeah, you came up to me and said, "We have a new song for you," and I thought, "Oh my God, not now! I have to learn a new song today." Oh no, for the next step, the next step.
Wow. And going back just time frame wise, because Jay, you made some comment about talking to Greg Barnes during the pandemic. So remind me, I don't have any sense of time anymore. But this was
does?
this was all
A year ago now, we were doing the workshop.
Yeah, the workshop
Okay.
was
Now.
as the pandemic
right.
was
waning.
loosening. So a lot of restrictions about how we were working, but
But
yeah.
then in the prior,
And
so
that was the
but it
second workshop.
That was the second
Second
workshop.
workshop.
So there was one that was pre-pandy.
That
Yeah,
was
pre-pandemic.
literally the week before. Like it was like in February.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh! Oh wait, I feel like I heard something about yes.
and we all thought we were going out of town to Chicago. It was
Yeah.
booked. It was
That's
all
what it
happening, and
was.
then-
All coming back,
Yeah.
all coming back to me now. Well, we are going to hear the fabulous "Poor Little Millionaire" song featuring the fabulous Kevin Del Aguila.
So cute.
Nailed it.
Should have stuck with the first song.
Now I'm so curious too. Okay, as each of you are talking, I cannot help but think about other moments will like flash before my eyes of other performances that I've enjoyed from each of you. So many incredible moments you have given us. And I was trying to think of like a cute way to fit Hygge in, Kevin, which is his prior showstopper from Frozen. But then I was thinking, there's and then I was thinking about a reunion of sorts. We'll get to that in a moment. And then I thought, oh wait, there's a Peter and the Starcatcher reunion here.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm going to jump on your back. Here we go.
Yes. Talk about running around sweating. We
Oh my
Christian
goodness.
and
hip
I-
pads and the knee pads required.
Christian and I have a history of running around sweating on a stage. But yes, I played Smee to Christian's Black Stash, a.k.a. Captain Hook.
Not yet.
Not yet, Captain Hook. In the Peter Pan prequel, Peter and the Starcatcher, for which Christian won his first Tony Award.
It was a special time.
It was a special time. It was a special time. It's even a point of contention between my mother and I because
get into it.
I took her to that show. And at first, I think, like, because I'm normally taking her to razzle-dazzle Broadway shows like Some Like It Hot. But I was like, no, trust me. And so we sat, and so, and then I watched her, like, come along to it. And she absolutely fell madly in love with Christian. And you usurped, I think it was maybe Brian Darcy James. So, no, he is out. Christian's in. And
I gotta
we took
Send a text real quick.
he was nice enough, Christian, to see us at the stage door. I was not stalking. But I introduced him to my mother, who was just so starstruck. And I took a photo of you, and to this day, she claims that you have $1 million smile on your face. And in all of my photos, you're a little more closed-mouth smile.
Don't read into it.
So-
but that moment was so
but she
special.
does. Oh, but she
That's
does.
sweet. That moment was so special that's the last time I ever came out a stage door.
I kind of believe that.
It's true.
No, but is it wild to end up in a show together, many years in a pandemic later? Who would have thought that you would end up in a show together again? That must be
Yeah,
fun.
no, I was thrilled. I was in a reading of it before with somebody else playing Joe. And then when Christian suddenly showed up to the first of our workshops, I was thrilled. I was like, oh, this is the cherry on top. Please stay with this show, please. It's Peter and the Starcatcher was one of the greatest times of my life. And to share that with Christian was amazing. This is another of the greatest times of my life. And to share it with Christian again
It is special.
is terrific. Whenever he's around, I seem to have the greatest times of my life. So
The feeling is mutual, and nobody holds like Kevin DeLagula.
this journey has been...
People are going to have to go out and get other bottles at this point. You'll have
What
already
are you
finished.
thirsty for? Let us know.
Well, the other reunion that I was referring to was another Christian reunion, and you already touched on it beautifully at the beginning of this program. But the smash of it all, and I wanted to ask you about using "Let's Be Bad" in the context of "Some Like It Hot," which you already basically gave us. But I feel like we have to hear the song, right? We just have to. So we're going to hear the song, but first you're going to tell us what's going on with the Bombshell musical.
Oh. Well, that's a long journey.
I mean, it's really happening.
Yes.
I believe it's maybe going to be called a comedy about a musical. Because it's not quite a musical, even though it's very musical. But like the TV show, it is about people putting on a musical.
In a noises off style.
Yeah.
So they're trying to
Okay.
put the musical on, and everything's going really badly behind
So
it.
it's like a
And
multiverse version.
Bob Martin and Rick Ellis have written a very, very funny script
Oh,
to it.
wonderful.
And, you know, and knock wood, if we're lucky enough, there'll be 2 shows running at the Some Like It Hot with
That
Let's
both
Be
have
Bad
Let's Be
in it.
Bad.
Let's be
But,
bad.
but so completely different
Yeah, because
the way
Kevin
that they're
sings
portrayed.
it in our show, and the Some Like It Hot now.
Right.
And those are all different lyrics. So
Right. Yes, of course. Which
Yeah.
I'm.
And Some
look,
Like It
now
Hot,
I've got
yeah.
2 versions to play on this
Yeah,
radio
yeah.
station,
It's
and
a
I'm not mad.
joyful, you know, it's a joyful moment in Some Like It Hot and in Smash/Bombshell.
we had written another song there, and Casey said, "Couldn't it be something sexier?" And then we went home and we're going, "Let's go crazy, let's." Do that. And then I turned around and said, "You know, we wrote this already."
So we, you know, kind of sheepishly went to all, you know, the powers that be and said, well, what would you think of us using this song? Because at that point, we didn't know if a Bombshell, if a Smash, anything was ever going to happen again. And the song just so fit perfectly what we needed with new lyrics. And everyone just said, sure. And it would just be a wonderful conversation piece if we were to be so lucky to have 2 shows at the same time with one song being done so differently. It's
Right. Or in your crystal ball, I'm going to go on a radio station that already plays one version, and I'm going to talk about there being another version. Well, you know that Smash fandom runs deep, and I'm happy to accommodate. Smash is completely alive and well on this radio station, as you probably know. Christian, for you, like, is it crazy looking back on something that took, you know, in the grand scheme of things, a small amount of time, but that still looms so large for so many fans?
Small
there's
amount of
just
time.
so many fans.
2 years.
Well, but in
But for me, it was Vietnam. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was like for Christian.
Well, it's so crazy to think that the pilot was 12 years ago.
oh my God.
That's shocking.
Yeah.
You know, I have such incredibly fond memories of that time, and it was a thrill, and it was so fun to be able to work with you guys. And I think what's so funny looking back on it is, you know, my take on the Smash verse is that, you know, we just came right before like niche television.
Right.
And so they were still trying to make Smash accessible to everyone instead of like getting right into the nitty gritty of the behind the scenes of a musical. You know, so we were going to City Hall and dealing with, you know, all that kind of like. But I think if it were made now, and it could be revisited, you know,
God,
we're
if
still
only there was a pandemic when it started.
right. But you know, now we would truly get into the nitty gritty of behind the scenes of making a musical.
Yeah.
There's some dream version of it out there in my head. It's written down.
Yeah.
I have the first 3 seasons plotted.
But there are lots of and I every couple of months I see someone post like, "Oh, I started at the beginning. I just wanted to rewatch it all again." I mean, it's still really, it's a touchstone for a lot of people, and that's such a great point because you're right. Television has so changed that if it were done today, it would be embraced in a probably completely different way.
But the nice thing is Mark still sits like Tom Levitt. So that's the really exciting takeaway.
I think it's the other way around.
I found out during the pandemic that Steven Spielberg listens to this channel a lot. So
Yes.
shout out to him if
Yeah, he came to the
happens
show
be-
a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yes, I saw
And it
those
was-
photos.
And he was very sweet. He stayed after and took pictures with everyone. He loved it. He just loved it. And I said to him, "What do you think Billy Wilder would have liked it?" And because he was
question.
friends with Billy Wilder, and he said very, very much so. So
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, as my personal homage to the continued evolution of a Smash meets Bombshell meets Some Like It Hot, here's the Broadway version of Let's Be Bad. Great job, guys. Okay, we really are coming around the bend, I promise. I know. We're calling the...
we're almost at the end of the journey.
Some like it hot and that ain't bad.
We had to keep that ending.
You
Some
had
like it
to.
hot and that ain't bad.
Whoop! Yes, would not have been you.
That is
without
one of those great moments in the theater. Is just when that button hits, and the sound man, pushes the fader on the band's last button, and the audience is just so ecstatic. They're just so happy, and the poses that each member of the company takes. Like I love Demarius, how that's his showbiz stance. It's always a thrill.
It's beautifully staged by Casey.
Yeah.
Yeah, truly. You brought up the question, Scott, of Billy Wilder, and I wanted to ask you also about the treatment that we've been referring to. I would imagine when I loved what you were sharing before about what kind of the reframing of the story, but that goes so much further than just Sugar being played by Adriana so beautifully. There's also the thematics that we've been referring to throughout, but sort of dancing a little bit around in terms of how to make the story, feel, as you said, relevant to today, appropriate in the first place. So how do you strike that balance between taking something that is, a known, very famous movie property, which you are both expert at adapting into musicals, but also all of what went into making it this charming love story at its core. It works so well, and it, as we acknowledged in the beginning, was probably a big challenge to make it work as well as it does.
Well, Matthew Lopez, when we started working on the show, he really framed it in the modern context, and was was sort of our school teacher to us of like, no, we can't do that, but let's put it this way, and we knew we needed to address. Now in the movie, Jack Lemmon's character, when he's Daphne, he's loving being Daphne. He absolutely loves being a woman, and Osgood proposes to Daphne, and Jack Lemmon in the movie is just ecstatic and thrilled. So even in the movie, it was like, wow, anyway, we just thought, what if we take that to its logical reality?
Or go beneath the surface
Yeah.
of that.
Right.
Yes.
And really explore what that would be like, and that's what we needed to do, and we worked on it every day. The whole team was constantly thinking about, should this happen, or let's not say this, or this is a better way to put it. And Lord knows that Jay himself gave us so much. I mean, like when Joe says, well, what do I call you? And Jay, why don't you say your line?
Either is fine as long as you do it with love and respect, which is also how I identify and introduce myself to people all the time. You can call me whatever you want to call me with love and respect.
Yeah.
I identify and I feel all the things, the fullness of my power, who I am as a human, and if I can honor that, so can you.
Yeah.
And all I ask is for your love and your respect. And like you said, this is a love story at its core in so many ways, and teaching people how to love themselves and get beyond your own labels and boundaries and limits. And You Could Have Knocked Me Over with a Feather is that moment for Daphne, Jerry, to say, oh, wow, I'm surprised at this quest I have taken and this place that I'm in, and I'm excited to grow forward.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you spoke to that, because I was just dying to ask you about it. And it really seems that you've brought so much of what you've learned about yourself. I absolutely love that message that your big number takes us there in terms of loving yourself. I mean, taking a little page from Rue of, if you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else?
Can I get an amen up in here?
Man.
So,
Let the music play.
Yes. Should we let the music play? I want to
Yes,
talk.
let us.
Okay, we're letting it play. We're letting it play. Wild applause. Wild applause.
Barn burning.
My God.
That's right. Barn burning.
Roof raising.
Barn burning.
Go down the storm.
It is unbelievable. I sort of asked it before, but what does that feel like when you finish that number every night? Because that is a special level of applause. That's a special amount of love that is coming back at you on that stage.
It definitely feels overwhelming sometimes, but it feels filling at the same time of completing my ministry, of doing what I was put on this earth to do, and being able to share a part of myself with audiences and hopefully be a mirror to them of how to free themselves and see beyond themselves. It is so special, and it is somewhat of a daunting task to know that has to happen every night. But getting to the song, there is this joy and this power that comes no matter how physically I am feeling as a person, and it comes to me and I give into the moment, and it is so fulfilling every night.
And they kill it every night.
Yes.
Every night.
I mean, the night I was there, I just know. I knew the way I heard the audience loving on you that's what you're getting every night. Like, I don't have to be in the building to know that that's what you're getting every night. And it's so affirming. And I think of all the people who are going to be so encouraged. And, the more and the more and the more that I ask about representation and what it means for people to see themselves on stage. And I think you're doing a really big service in that area.
Thank you. And
in
it
this
is
show.
special at the stage door every night to connect with those humans who get to say to me, thank you for representing me, for allowing me to be seen on a Broadway stage. Thank you for being all that I ever hoped to see.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. All right. I'm going to do one bonus round real quick. I can't resist. The bonus round is, I want to ask Christian Borle, you have to tell us where the heck you got this Josephine dialect. Please, who is that? Who is she? Where did she come from?
It is on some level Mrs. Grosskreutz, my second grade teacher.
I knew it.
No, we were doing the first workshop, and I hadn't found Josephine yet, and I found myself slipping into Jay's cadence a little bit and kind of going a little southern with it. And I couldn't find my own voice. I didn't know what I wanted to do with Josephine, and the only accent to me, a funny accent is a Pittsburgh accent. I grew up in Pittsburgh. My father was Swiss French. My mother was from Syracuse, so I didn't have the Pittsburgh accent, but I heard it everywhere I went. And it's truly an astonishingly gross accent. No disrespect to all the wonderful people of Pittsburgh. It's one of my favorite cities in the world, and I miss it terribly. But it's really, it's quite something to hear, as everyone on Broadway now hears it. And so on a lark, I did it one day to kind of make Casey laugh. And I was just like, are we doing this? And we just kept doing it, and there it is. And Thank you, Mrs. Grosskreutz. Who, frankly, I don't even remember if she had a Pittsburgh accent, but she's got
Maybe
such a
not,
great name.
but I knew it was a person.
But the
I'm
name
like, that's a
lives.
woman. That's a woman that he knew in his life at some point. Like, I just knew you were, picking someone. So now I know the answer, and I'm so glad about it because I think about it all the time. Christian, but before we hear the song, you too have a love story that I think is also very endearing and charming in this story, because it would be so easy. I love what you shared with us before, Mark, about the movie. Has some of these attributes. We just maybe interpret them a little bit differently today, but it really is so charming to watch the love stories all blossoming, and you have that too. And you also have a love story with a brotherhood / sisterhood that you're also taking care of too. So talk to us a little bit about the charm of both love stories that you have to manage in this show.
Well, it was another thing that we realized about adapting this particular story is we have mercifully come a very long way, and it's gross to watch someone who has particular information take advantage of that information when seducing someone. And so the famous yacht scene from the movie where Joe uses his disguise to get with Sugar is gross now. They mine it for comedy, but we didn't want to do that. And so I think what's been so nice about the relationship between Joe and Josephine and Sugar is that because of this disguise, it's the first time he's ever had the opportunity to listen. He's always been playing a game, but because he's playing Josephine, he listens to a woman for the first time, and luckily that fabulous woman is Sugar. And so they build a friendship, and almost it's not even a seduction anymore. He's just making a friend. And then by the end of the show, they figure out a way to parlay that dynamic into a really great professional relationship. And we leave it, I think, pretty delightfully ambiguous as to whether or not it's even romantic at the end.
Yeah.
And he gets to do it as in a Billy Wilder Austrian accent.
True.
The worst Austrian accent on Broadway. I went to see
On purpose,
Leopoldstadt, and I was like, I'm so sorry.
But also, what's that great lyric you say something about? I can't love Sugar if she doesn't know my name, or something like, or she doesn't even know my. I mean, it's really.
I'm reading it off the teleprompter.
I
every night,
see. Lucky you. They replaced the conductor cam with the
yes,
teleprompter.
just for me, as per my rider. Yes.
There's a prompter's box.
Well, please enjoy the many accents of Christian Borle in this. It's such a fantastic group number with Christian leading it. He lied when he said hello.
No, thank you so much. It's so sincere. Thank you.
Also, hat tip to the ladies of our ensemble who
Yes.
how to learn that four-part harmony.
Those
Boswell's
harmonies.
sister.
Oh, God bless.
You should have seen their
Truly.
faces while learning it.
And kicking.
Yeah.
Oh, they are so, the harmonies throughout are so delectable. I every time I listen, I pick a different one. I'm trying to pick it out, trying to do it. It's so, and it adds so much to that sound that we're all talking about. That this Broadway, Hollywood, MGM, just something very old and grand and lush and.
I mean, that is when you say MGM. I mean, when we tried, when we were writing, I said, this isn't a documentary about the year 1933,
Right.
musically. And I just always went back to MGM. If an MGM movie was about the 20s, like Singing in the Rain, or about the 30s or 40s, or their great movies were made in the 50s, it just always sounded like MGM.
Yes.
Jazz and swing changed from the 20s to the 30s to the 40s. But we're just taking a big MGM look at it.
Because we were there, we know.
Oh, what a long journey you've had.
It's the longest journey.
Well, congratulations, one and all. Please pass along our admiration to all of the people who help create this show 8 times a week at the Shubert Theatre. We couldn't have everyone and their mama here today, but boy, am I glad we had you. So please pass along our love and thanks for what you all are doing every night. Some like it hot, everybody. It is what's sizzling on Broadway. I'm so proud of each of you. And what a great two prongs to have: the Broadway show, which is just, please get there to the Shubert Theatre, but also this marvelous cast album that will literally live on in legend. It turned out so incredibly well. I am so glad that we get to hear as much of it as we do here on Sirius XM and beyond. I wanted to point out the incredible acknowledgement in the playbill. Well, there's one that's just for funsies. Christian Borle says, "I'm not on social media. Join me." Which I love a lot. Yeah. But what I really wanted to point out is that you dedicate the show to Craig Zaiden.
Yes.
Yeah, and I am honored to say that I was what we think is his last interview. He and Neil visited the studios, and we did what we thought. We went on a marathon that we thought was really still just chapter one. We were all, he and Neil and I agreed that they would have to come back because we didn't even come near everything that there was to talk about. But it's something that I really treasure, and I know he would be so
this was
delighted
his
and proud.
idea.
Yeah, I mean, but how it came out, I know he would be so
hope
proud
so.
of all
I
of
hope
you. Yeah. Parting thoughts, words, anything?
Come see the show. Come on our journey to see the show. Make the journey here to Broadway.
And you know, Julie James, that I listen to, on Broadway constantly in the car, so I will be keeping tabs just to hear how much you play.
You've got the counter that we were going to use for Journey.
Yes.
Now you'll be the purveyor of it for counting up. Oh, I'm all over you. Mary Poppins Returns is still alive and well on the channel. I mean, I can't get enough of you guys. I celebrated 15 years of the Hairspray movie musical with Nikki Blonsky recently.
Oh, wow.
And I had never talked to her back when that was a thing. So she was, so much fun to get to know.
There are moments where, sometimes, I will channel hop.
I hope so.
But when I get to Broadway, suddenly I have to admit, if like You Can't Stop the Beat comes on, I look around to see if anyone driving around me might... And then I listen to it all. I mean, it's so good.
I hope so.
But I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, oh God, what if someone driving by has can you believe him? Look at him listening to his own. But so thank you for everything you do
Even Catch
play.
Me If You Can. That was a favorite of mine. I still keep that one alive too. I love that show.
Thank you.
Love that show.
Some Like It Hot, and that ain't bad.
Right.
Listen, and you'll love this cast album.
You sure
Get into
will.
it.
You sure will. Well, Mark and Scott, you are so dear to me. You have changed the face of musical theater as we know it, and you're a gift. You're the gift that keeps on giving.
You're very kind.
And to Christian, Adriana, Jay, Natasha, Kevin, thank you so much. You guys rule, and you know what we're going out on?
Some Like It Hot!
Amazing, guys.
Thanks, Julie.
Absolutely
Thank you.
amazing.
Hey, Sirius XM on Broadway. This is Mark Shaman.
Scott Whitman.
Christian Borle.
Adriana Hicks.
Jay Harrison G.
Natasha Yvette Williams.
Kevin DeLaguila.
And we're from
Some Like It Hot!
Yes, I love it.
Great.
I love it so much. Okay, you guys.
Nailed
Nailed it. One take wonders. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie.
You are.